report. Several stories breaking before we hit the noon hour. Bill Bryant and Barbara Bailey reporting, and the rest of the SEC basketball tournament is canceled.
On this day when things are changing so quickly, this would be day 2 of the SEC, but it has been canceled just within the last few minutes here. Dave Baker is here to tell us the very latest on this. Unprecedented, Dave.
Well, everything, this whole situation has been changing by the minute, but everything changed last night when Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, they stopped that game between Utah and Oklahoma City just minutes before it was supposed to start. Once he tested positive, okay, so the word from everybody was, okay, we can isolate these guys, keep as many fans out as possible, and nobody's going to get sick. Once he gets that, they're now, I mean, some really good estimates out there that because of interactions and referees and different people, that he's touched everybody in the NBA in about the last week.
Buzz, we have the tweet from the SEC, and we'll put that on the screen right now.
Well, good luck reading that off that
there
thing.
It is, right.
I mean...
Well, I'll read it.
Okay.
Based on the latest developments,
yes,
the continued
I got you now.
spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19, the Southeastern Conference today announced the cancellation of the remainder of the 2020 men's basketball tournament in Nashville.
Okay, thank you for that. Oh, now they got it up to size there. Okay, so thanks for that. But what happened was, so Rudy Gobert gets tested positive. Since that time this morning, Donovan Mitchell, who played his college basketball at Louisville and who is a teammate of Gobert's, he's tested positive. Gobert was like, you know, cracking up in front of the mics the other day, touching the mics and saying, oh, I gotta go. Anyway, once that happened, what was thought to be an area where they could keep players safe was gone. I'm telling you, this just happened in the SEC just in the last half hour because I was texting with people within the last hour. And the ADs are constantly meeting on this and everything with Commissioner Greg Sankey, and they were talking about how to conduct things in the spring. So they have certainly gotten some guidance from the CDC. This also tells me, and we don't know this yet, but for them to cancel the SEC tournament tells me that the NCAA tournament will be canceled. Because remember, many tournaments, even though Kentucky won the regular season, the tournament champion gets the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So this tells me that that is going to be canceled. And I'm looking at a tweet just seconds ago from our Alex Walker, who's downtown. KHSA Commissioner Julian Tackett says starting tomorrow, there will be, quote, an extreme limit placed on the people that can be at the girls' Sweet 16. We know that earlier this morning that schools were informed who had made it to the boys' Sweet 16 next week, they were informed to stop selling tickets. That indicates to me that that's going to go away. And one final thing, Barb, to show you how serious this thing is, with the NBA season shut down, people have said in the NBA world that the clubs have been asked to check on the availability of their arenas through August. Now, the China Basketball Association, obviously this started in China, they shut down for 10 weeks, and they're just now having their players come back. So everybody is kind of getting in for the long haul.
Could be basketball in the summer.
Absolutely. And whether you have an audience, that's a totally different thing. But players are always coming in such close contact. They are touching each other. They are sweating.
Sweating all over the place, right?
Yeah. So for the players,
But the thing about it is there's not a better, I mean, unless you talk about actors and actresses, there is no more highly compensated individual on the planet than NBA players. And if those guys, and you got millionaires like Mark Cuban that are shutting down their enterprises, and we talked about this last night. I was talking to Rex Chapman yesterday afternoon. The NCAA makes most of its money from television deals, right? So I think they would have been okay had you played the tournament and no fans were there. It certainly would have lost a lot of its luster. But the NBA, with premium seating, with all the people that goes to those games, Rex said the estimate, depending on the franchise, was somewhere between $1 million and $2 million per night that they would lose. So this takes this up another notch, and I think this is the first of a handful of announcements in and out of sports that we're going to hear like this today.
And it is such a ripple effect, because if you cancel the tournament, you have people who've bought their hotel rooms, you have restaurants who are preparing for that influx.
The economic impact.
Well, and you certainly have that for the SEC tournament down in Nashville. You don't have it quite as much for the NCAA because nobody knew where they were going to go before, just knowing that they were going to host a site. However, though, while they said they were going to play the NCAA tournament with no fans, okay, Governor Mike DeWine in Ohio, after this NCAA announcement last night, said he would issue an order banning the playing of games in Cleveland, which is a regional site, and in Dayton, which hosts the first 4. So there's just this just tells me that there's going to be no NCAA tournament. The fact that they're not playing the SEC tournament. John Swofford, the commissioner of the ACC, was on this morning and said that they were going to go ahead as scheduled at 1 o'clock. But the way these things go, I think by the time we're sitting out here, we're going to hear a lot more about everybody else following.
We'll let people know we are also standing by for an update from Governor Andy Beshear at the state capitol, who is giving a news conference on some other matters right now. He's been talking about the U.S. Census Bureau count, which is going to be a challenge under the circumstances as well. We now understand that the governor will address the coronavirus update at about 12:05. We're approaching the noon hour now with this major development that Dave Baker has just reported to us, that the SEC basketball tournament is canceled. In Nashville,
they got the first 2 games in,
yep.
and they had the quarterfinals today. SEC was probably projected to have 4 teams in the tournament. Again, we've got no announcement yet, but I've known Commissioner Greg Sankey ever since he came to the SEC from the Southland Conference. For the SEC to make this decision tells me that somebody's getting the word down the pike that the NCAA tournament is in great peril. And a lot of voices in college basketball, including those that many people listen to, like Charles Barkley, have been making rounds on TV this morning and said, you just need to shut down March Madness.
Okay, we are now approaching noon, and so WKYT News at noon will continue now. We have been in a WKYT News special report as we approach that. We have so many things to watch today, including weather.
Oh, my God.
And stay with us, because we will keep changing back and forth, but we are anticipating some pretty heavy weather out there.
It's a WKYT First Alert Weather Day, and let's check in with Jim here as we approach noon.
Yeah, like we need anything else, but here we go. Into the afternoon and evening hours, some storms are expected to start to develop, and especially into the evening, we start tracking that potential of severe weather. Damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes, and local high water. That's what we have out there for you. Flash flood watch is the only thing that we have active as far as watch or warning or anything along that lines. That is the only thing so far. What we are waiting on is for more development to show up out to our west. As that warm front starts to lift through the area, we'll start to see things really get interesting in the world with thunderstorms coming together. I mean, a lot of activity. As of this moment, we're under a slight risk of severe weather. That's a tier 2 kind of situation, but it's elevated. If there's a category to go into the high end of slight, that's where we are right now with the situation that's coming together here over the next few hours. Strong to severe thunderstorms beginning this afternoon. They'll continue into the evening hours. I think that's when they peak for us. Then you get primary threat of strong winds of 60 miles per hour or higher. And then we factor in some tornadoes and even large hail all into this equation. I mean, this is just a messy looking situation. We look ahead with our radar, future radar at that. I'm up to 4 o'clock. You can see a little bit of development out to our west, and then more starts coming our way. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and beyond. You can see that big cluster coming right there at 7:30. Strong to severe thunderstorms sweeping through central Kentucky. This model locking in on this time period. Past few runs. The actual front itself that's going to drive this out of here, it comes in a little bit later and could bump up those chances again as we head into the very early morning hours tomorrow, guys. I mean, it's a wild day for weather and news, of course. We'll be watching this very closely starting this afternoon and going into the evening hours.
An understatement there, Jim. Thank you very much.
Well, right now, of course, the KHSAA Girls Sweet 16 is underway for a second day despite the COVID-19 outbreak.
We've just learned that there will be some changes for anyone going to the games tomorrow. And earlier this morning, some schools revealed that the KHSAA has asked them to suspend ticket sales for next week's Boys Sweet 16. Let's go down to WKYT's Olivia Russell with our top story team coverage from Rupp Arena with the latest. Olivia?
Well, there are no changes to the girls' tournament today, but Commissioner Julian Tackett just announced a few minutes ago that starting tomorrow, there will be some major changes for attendance for the girls' Sweet 16 tournament. He said only small groups of people will be allowed in the stands. Bands and cheerleaders will not be allowed at the games. Tackett also said the boys' Sweet 16 could have some major changes depending on what the CDC advises. Schools have been advised to suspend ticket sales for that tournament, but still no. Yesterday in a press conference, Tackett said KHSAA is